Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Scha Om Agyana Timaranda Shagyana Jana Shalakya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Gaurava Bhistam Sapurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Premno Ebija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavananam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Yashishwara Sridharam Vanshakopatarubyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Nama. So today is Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur's disappearance day as well as the disappearance day of Srila Gadadhar Pandit. I'm going to read something from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Madhya-lila, chapter 22. I'll start with verse number 101. The process of devotional service. So this is the process of devotional service means abhidheya. Sambandha abhidheya prayojana. So the first is a relationship that's sambandha gyan given to us by our initiating spiritual master, and in the case of these teachings are Mahaprabhu teaching Sanatan Goswami. So Sanatan Goswami has explained sambandha gyan, the relationship with the Lord, in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Now in this chapter, Mahaprabhu is explaining to Sanatan Goswami about abhidheya, engagement in devotional service. Mahaprabhu previously explained in the previous chapter about sambandha to Sanatan Goswami. So, Tavasmiti vadan vacha tataiva manasa vidan tatstanam ashritas tanva modate sharanagataha. One whose body is fully surrendered takes shelter at the holy place where Krishna had his pastimes, and he prays to the Lord, "My Lord, I am yours." Understanding this with his mind, he enjoys spiritual bliss. But previously it said, the previous verse, which Anukuyasya Sankalpa Pratikuyasya Varjanam Rakshishyatiti Vishvaso Gopritve Varanam Data Atma Nikshepa Karpanye Shadvida Sharanagati. The 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender, and humility. Well, these are the 6 limbs of Sharanagati, of surrender. And then today we read the verse, one whose body is fully surrendered takes shelter at the holy place where Krishna had his pastimes, and he prays to the Lord, "My Lord, I am yours." Understanding this with his mind, he enjoys spiritual bliss. Sharana loya kore Krishna atma samarpan Krishna tare kore tat kale atmasam. When a devotee thus fully surrenders unto Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna accepts him as one of his confidential associates. Martya yara chakta samasta karma niveditatma vijikirshito me tadamritatvam pratipadyamano mayatma bhuyaya chakalpate vai. The living entity who is subjected to birth and death attains immortality when he gives up all material activities, dedicates his life to the execution of my order, and acts according to my directions. In this way he becomes fit to enjoy the spiritual bliss derived from exchanging loving mellows with me. The living entity who is subjected to birth and death attains immortality when he gives up all material activities, dedicates his life to the execution of my order, and acts according to my directions. In this way he becomes fit to enjoy the spiritual bliss derived from in exchanging loving mellows with me. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna was advising his most confidential servant Uddhava about Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojana. These concern one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of God and the activities of that relationship, as well as the perfection of life. The Lord also described the characteristics of confidential devotees. Ebe sadhana bhakti lakan shuna sanatan Jaha hoite pai Krishna prema mahadan. My dear Sanatan, please now hear about the regulative principles for the execution of devotional service. That means sadhana bhakti. Now, my dear Sanatan, please now hear about the regulative principles for the execution of devotional service. By this process, one can attain the highest perfection of love of Godhead, which is the most desirable treasure. Kriti sadhya bhavat sadhya bhava sa sadhana bida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam hridi sadhyata. When transcendental devotional service by which love for Krishna is attained is executed by the senses, it is called sadhana bhakti, or the regulative discharge of devotional service. Such devotion eternally exists within the heart of every living entity. The awakening of this eternal devotion is the potentiality of devotional service and practice. When transcendental devotional service by which love for Krishna is attained is executed by the senses, it is called sadhana bhakti, or the regular discharge of devotional service. Such devotion eternally exists within the heart of every living entity. The awakening of this eternal devotion is the potentiality of the devotional service and practice. This verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Because living entities are minute atomic parts and parcels of the Lord, devotional service is already present within them in a dormant condition. Devotional service begins with Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. When a man is sleeping, he can be awakened by sound vibration. Therefore, every conditioned soul should be given the chance to hear the Hare Krishna mantra chanted by a pure Vaishnava. One who hears the Hare Krishna mantra thus vibrated is awakened to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness. In this way, one's mind gradually becomes purified, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaito Darpana Marjanam. When the mind is purified, the senses are also purified. Instead of using the senses for sense gratification, the awakened devotee employs the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the process by which dormant love for Krishna is awakened. So sometimes we'll say that sadhana bhakti means the practice of devotional service. So sometimes words are a little ambiguous in English, where you say the practice of devotional service. So someone can think that there's something sadhana bhakti, therefore, because it's also sometimes defined as neophyte devotional service as compared to spontaneous loving devotional service, which can be awakened. But sometimes we hear the word practice of devotional service, and some may think, well, the practice means that one is going through all the preliminary activities of a neophyte devotee, of, chanting a certain prescribed number of rounds and getting up and going to Mangalarti, which is all very nice, but it's not meant. The word practice can be applied in that way, just like someone practices a musical instrument by learning scales and learning arpeggios and learning so many exercises for the instrument, whether it's piano or guitar or violin, whatever. That can be practice, but we can also use practice in another sense of the word, that we say somebody is a practicing physician. That doesn't mean that person is practicing on you when you call him to come see you. He's not just practicing, I don't know how to do this, but we'll work it out together. It's not that idea. Practicing physician means that is his life's work. His life is dedicated to doing this. So we can, in that sense, talk about sadhana bhakti as the practice of devotional service, and meaning that's what one does. One is engaged in devotional service, because otherwise it won't be of any real benefit to artificially think that one has attained some advanced level of devotional service without having really developed the characteristics of devotional service. So, Shravanade Kriyatara Swarupa Lakan Tatasta Lakane Upajaya Premadan. The spiritual activities of hearing, chanting, remembering, and so forth are the natural characteristics of devotional service. The marginal characteristic is it awakens pure love for Krishna. So these activities are the natural characteristics of devotional service, and they will go on, whether one in the preliminary, in a neophyte condition, or an advanced condition, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and hearing and chanting and remembering. These activities will continue whether one is beginning or one is neophyte, or one is middle class devotee, or one is advanced. And the marginal characteristic, when we speak of marginal, it means like we can say, what are the, before we heard the marginal characteristics given of, for instance, when Sanatan Goswami identified Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Krishna for the age of Kali, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam. He said that it was described that there are two qualities. One is the lakan, and one is the marginal, the tatasta. So lakan means what family he's born in and everything, what is, so the characteristics of them. And then the marginal characteristic is that what does he do? He spreads the Sankirtan movement. He spreads chanting of love of God. That is what he does. And then there's question. So here, when it says the marginal characteristic of engagement in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Swana, the marginal characteristic is that it awakens Krishna Prema. So this is what you do, and then what is the result? It awakens Krishna Prema. So, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanade Shuddha Chitte Koraye Udai. Pure love of Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. So, Krishna consciousness is not something external that you learn to develop by repetition. It's something that's naturally within the heart. Just like I remember Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he would describe that when they make the deity, for instance, deities made from wood, just the form of the deity is there, and you just take away the excess pieces of wood that aren't part of the deity, but the deity is already there, and then the deity comes out. So the Mahaprabhu has said that Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, that the living entity is eternally the servant of Krishna. So that's already the intrinsic nature. That's already the nature of everyone. You just have so here, pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entity. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, the love naturally awakens. So it's already there, but you have to develop. You have to develop, What is it someone said to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur? They said, "Can you tell me what my Siddha Deho is? What is my eternal spiritual form?" And he said to Srila Saraswati Thakur, "Can you tell me what it is?" And Srila Saraswati Thakur, he said, "If you show it to me, I can tell you what it is. If you show it to me, it's not something that, you have to, if that becomes developed and it's now active, then we can see. But otherwise, it's just a game of some words. You show it to me. So, within the heart of the living entity, the devotional service is there. Now we just have to act in a way where it will, that love of Godhead can be awakened, the devotion can be awakened. Eta sadhana bhakti, duita prakar, ek vidhi bhakti, raganuka bhakti are. There are two processes of practical devotional service. One is regulative devotional service, and the other is spontaneous devotional service. One is sadhana bhakti. Eta sadhana bhakti duita prakar. There are two processes of sadhana bhakti, two ways of sadhana bhakti. One is vidhi bhakti, which means rules and regulations and following all the principles. And the other is raganuga bhakti, spontaneous devotional service. But so, actually, that's here Mahaprabhu says that those two things are within sadhana bhakti, regulative devotional services. But Srila, what is that? Huh?
Some alarm.
Okay.
Apologies.
So one is like, as far as vidhi bhakti, like chanting so many mantras and everything, Srila Govinda Maharaj at one time said about the Westerners that you would all be disqualified from Vidhi Bhakti because you couldn't be able to pronounce the mantras. You would not be eligible. He facetiously, it means in jest, said that the Raganuga Bhakti is what is available for Westerners because they can't execute the principles of Vidhi Bhakti. They have to be somewhat attracted by Raganuga Bhakti. So there are two processes of practical devotional service. One is regular devotional service, and the other is spontaneous devotional service. So we are more not going to be so attracted by Vidhi Marg, by just becoming so strict with all the principles. That doesn't mean we're taking this whimsically, but we cannot just be so severe with all the rules and regulations that we lose some taste for devotional service. And others, Raganuga. Ragahina Janabhaje Shastra Agyaya Vaidhi Bhakti Bolitare Sarva Shastra Gai. Those who have not attained the platform of spontaneous attachment in devotional service render devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master according to the regulative principles mentioned in the revealed scriptures. According to the revealed scriptures, this kind of devotional service is called Vidhi Bhakti, or Vaidhi Bhakti. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Hare Ishvaraha Shrotavya Kirtitavyas Cha Smartavyas Chechatabayam. O descendant of Bharata, O Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, who is the Supreme Controller, and who always removes the miseries of the living entities, must always be heard about from reliable sources, and he must be glorified and remembered by one who wishes to become fearless. O descendant of Bharata, O Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, who is the Supreme Controller, and who always removes the miseries of the living entities, must always be heard about from reliable sources, and he must be glorified and remembered by one who wishes to become fearless. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is one's duty to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the hearing process. This is called Shrotavya. If one has heard properly about the Supreme Lord, his duty is to glorify the Lord and preach his glories. This is called Kirtitavya. When one hears about the Lord and glorifies him, it is natural to think of him. This is called Smartavya. All this must be carried out if one actually wants to be immune from fear. Mukya Bahuru Parebhya Purushasya Shramai Saha Chatvaro Jagire Varna Gunar Vipradaya Pritak. From the mouth of Brahma, the Brahminic order has come into existence. Similarly, from his arms, the Kshatriyas have come. From his waist, the Vaishyas have come. And from his legs, the Shudras have come. These four orders and their spiritual counterparts, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, combine to make human society complete. There's description of Varnashram Dharma, some explanation. Ya esham purusham sakshad atma prabhavam ishvaram Na bhajanti avajananti stanad brashta patanti araha. Or I should say, well, that's a description where the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas come from. Now this verse, if one simply maintains an official position in the 4 varnas and ashramas, but does not worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he falls down from his puffed up position into a hellish condition. So if one is just officially a Brahmin, or officially a brahmachari, or officially grihastha, or officially a sannyas, but doesn't worship the Lord, then one falls down from one's imagined position, or one's puff. Here it mentions puffed up position. Prabhupada used that word, puffed up. Means one's proud position. One can fall from that into a hellish condition because it's just has some official position. He's recognized as a Brahmin by society, but he doesn't have any of the qualities of a Brahmin. So that's just a vain position. Smartavya sadatam vishnor vishmartavyo na jatuchit sarve vidi nisheda shur etayor eva kinkaraha. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastra should be the servants of these 2 principles. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastra should be the servants of these 2 principles. So what this means is there's rules that you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. And there are rules that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't. So what does that mean? The rules that you should do, like you should come into the temple, you should prostrate yourself before the deities, you should worship the Lord. These are all positive things that you should do. What is the purpose? To remember Krishna. All the positive things are so that you will remember Krishna. And then there's so many negative things that you shouldn't do. They're mentioned. You shouldn't break a codicy. You shouldn't come into the temple to worship the Lord in wearing dirty cloth, etc. All these things are negative in the sense you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. And what's the purpose of those? So that you won't forget Krishna. What is positive, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that, is so that you can remember Krishna. And what is negative, that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that, that's so that you won't forget Krishna. So negative is to keep you from going in a negative direction, and positive is to keep you going in the positive direction of remembering Krishna. Okay. Vividanga sadhana bhaktir bahuta vishtar sankepe kohiye kichu sadhanangasar. I shall say something about the various practices of devotional service, which is expanded in so many ways. I wish to speak briefly of the essential practices. Guru Parashraya, Dikka, Gurur Sevan, Saddharma, Shikha Pricha, Saru Marganu Gaman. On the path of regular devotional service, one must observe the following items. One must accept a bona fide spiritual master. 2, one must accept initiation from him. 3, one must serve him. 4, one must receive instructions from the spiritual master and make inquiries in order to learn devotional service. 5, one must follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and follow the directions given by the spiritual master. So on the path of regular devotional service, one must observe the following items. One must accept a bona fide spiritual master. One must accept initiation from him. One must serve him. One must receive instructions from the spiritual master and make inquiries in order to learn devotional service. One must follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and follow the directions given by the spiritual master. So these are very essential these are positive things so that you can remember the Lord and not. So that will be accepted by approaching a qualified spiritual master and accepting initiation from him and serving him and making questions of him and following his instructions. So that, we hear about that in Bhagavad Gita. Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya uvidakshanti te jnana ganinas tattvadarshina. That, you submissively approach a spiritual master about, worship your spiritual master as everything, then inquire submissively from him and serve him. That's essential. And then here also mentions one must follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and follow the directions given by the spiritual master. So that's all there. Krishna Pritye Bhogatyaga Krishna Tirte Vas Jaban Nirvaha Pratigraha Ekadasi Upavas. The next steps are as follows. One should be prepared to give up everything for Krishna's satisfaction, and one should also accept everything for Krishna's satisfaction. One must live in a place where Krishna is present, a city like Vrindavan or Mathura or a Krishna temple. One should acquire a livelihood that is just sufficient to keep body and soul together. One must fast on the Ekadasi day. So I'll read one more verse and we'll... Datri Ashvata Go Vipra Vaishnava Pujan Seva Nama Paradari Dore Visarjan. One should worship Datri trees, banyan trees, cows, brahmanas, and devotees of Lord Vishnu. One should avoid offenses against devotional service in the holy name. There are 10 items in the beginning of devotional service up to the point of worshiping the Datri trees, banyan trees, cows, brahmins, devotees of Lord Vishnu. The 11th item is to avoid offenses when rendering devotional service and chanting the holy name. So we'd like to continue reading, and we'll do that hopefully tomorrow. But in the meantime, today is the divine disappearance day of Gadadhar Pandit and Bhaktivinod Thakur. So very special in Bhaktivinod Thakur. I mean, who can continue to follow in devotional service without accepting the lotus feet of Bhaktivinod Thakur as one's every hope and guidance. How can we live without what Bhaktivinod Thakur has given to all of us? And the Heart and Halo was published by Sridhar Maharaj. He compiled the chapters of the Heart and Halo. And the book was given to me for editing. So there was a lot to edit. But especially I thought the last chapter, which does concern also, among other things, Gadadhar Pandit and Bhaktivinod Thakur's relationship with him. I thought this was very essential, and especially while I was editing these concluding words of the conclusion in this chapter, I thought it was important. And every day I would call Govinda Maharaj long distance on the phone and just stay on the phone discussing the Heart and Halo editing from him, because I knew that some things had to be corrected, a lot of things actually, because at one point it was, when there's a description about Bhaktivinod Thakur and what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had said about him, then I saw that there was some reference to Guna Manjari, but that was not identified. Guna Manjari is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, so Guna Manjari wasn't identified correctly as Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, so I knew some things had to be corrected. So then I called Srila Govinda Maharaj, and we went through all this and got everything arranged. Here, I'll start reading. In Gaura-lila, Gadadhar Pandit is holding the helm. Everything belongs to him. Still he has to admit he's dispossessed. That Gauranga has taken everything. So you have to see there in the appearance of Mahaprabhu, he appears on the Purnima day. He appears on the Purnima day, and he is taken the Bhavakanti, the heart and halo. This, that's the name of the book, Heart and Halo. He's taken the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. And Mahaprabhu has taken that, Srimati Radharani's heart and halo. Incidentally, when we published this book, I believe Sarvabhavana printed the book, and it was printed with this cover, and Radharani, she's called Nilambar. She dresses in blue, and Srila Govinda Maharaj said this color was very much related to the color of Srimati Radharani's dress. It's a nice color. It's a very, very nice color. You can't always see it, but when there's light, you can see how nice and purple blue it is. So anyway, in Gaura-lila, Gadadhar is, and then, so he's born, Mahaprabhu is born on the Purnima day, but Gadadhar Pandit is born and disappears on the Amavasya day. That this day would be Amavasya. Amavasya means there is no moon. It's the new moon. So Mahaprabhu's taken everything, the light and the heart and the halo, everything. And he's taken everything. And now Gadadhar Pandit, who's incarnation of Radharani, he's left, he appears on the Amavasya day, the dark moon day, in Mahaprabhu's day. And then it said, so Gadadhar Pandit's always running after. He's always running after Mahaprabhu like a man whose wealth has been stolen, a man who's running after a thief, trying to recuperate his lost, what the thief has stolen. We had a graphic example of that one time when we were living in San Jose. A thief, while Bimala was bathing, a thief came into her room and stole her collections. And Bimala came back, and she saw that she had been robbed, and she ran out into the street in a bathrobe, and the man was pulling away in a car or van, and she was pounding on the window, yelling him to stop. That's Mahaprabhu's. You can't take that. You're stealing from the Lord. She's running after the thief. So, good, graphic example. Gadadhar Pandit, his appearance today. He's possessed of everything, dispossessed of everything. Mahaprabhu has stolen his wealth, his heart and halo. In Gaura-lila, Gadadhar Pandit is holding the helm. Everything belongs to him. Still, he has to admit he's dispossessed. The Gauranga has taken everything. So Gadadhar Pandit's from Shakti. He's a Shakti incarnation of Srimati Radharani. He's Shakti. You know, we have the expansions of the Lord we call what were Svamsa and I believe anyway incarnations. But then there's Shakti. Gadadhar Pandit belongs to the Shakti. He's dispossessed. That Gauranga has taken everything. He is exhaustively dedicated to Gauranga. So Srila Kaviraj Goswami says, Teho Lakmi Rupa Tara Sama Keho Nai, that he represents the main potency of Gauranga, and no one is to be compared with him. This is the conclusion of Srila Kaviraj Goswami about Sri Gadadhar. He is Gaura Prema Moy, the embodiment of Sri Gaura's love. Now there's also Gadadhar Das. Gadadhar Das represents the halo of Radharani, but Gadadhar Pandit represents her mood, her nature, her heart. It is as if Mahaprabhu has taken away Gadadhar Pandit's soul, and the soul and the body is still standing. That is the position of Gadadhar Pandit. He is quite empty and following Mahaprabhu. He is not full in himself. Something, the most important thing, his heart has been taken by Mahaprabhu, so he has no other alternative but to follow him. He is wholly given to Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar Pandit's position, the part he played, was something like that of Radharani, her heart stolen by Krishna, the empty body still standing. Radha Bhava Jyoti Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. He was fully engrossed in the conception of Sri Gauranga. Gauranga had taken everything from him, so he had no other alternative. He was fully engrossed, captured completely by him. We find his activity throughout his whole life was like that. Of the other devotees, some were ordered to go to Vrindavan, and some were allowed to go there. But though Gadadhar Pandit wanted to visit Vrindavan with Mahaprabhu himself, he was denied. No, you won't go. He followed Mahaprabhu. He followed Mahaprabhu when Mahaprabhu tried to go to Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu went through Orissa, and Gadadhar Pandit followed him. And Mahaprabhu told him, you shouldn't go because you have two vows. One is you have taken Kshetra Sannyas, you can't leave Jagannath Puri. And two, you have taken up the service of Tota Gopinath. You've taken up the service of Gopinath. You can't leave, you can't give up your service. So you have to go back. And then Gadadhar Pandit said, as far as I'm concerned, that can all go to hell. He says, I'm going with you to Vrindavan, but you don't have to feel guilty about me going. I'll go by a different route. So he didn't travel with Mahaprabhu for part of the way, but then they met up. They met up, I guess, in, let's see, they first met in, where is it? Bhubaneswar, I guess, and then in Cuttack. When they got to Cuttack, then I believe it was in Cuttack when Mahaprabhu said, all right, you've come this far, so you've broken your vow, now go back. I will not. He said, if Mahaprabhu was very heavy with him, he said, you're just doing this for your own enjoyment. You're not doing this in the mood of service. You have no right to do this. Now go back. And he sent him back. And then Gadadhar, and then Gadadhar Pandit fainted. And who was it? It was, I believe, Swarup Damodar said, "These are the ways of love." You know. So anyway, no, you won't go. When Jagannananda Pandit asked to go there, Mahaprabhu, with hesitation, granted him permission. Yes, go there, but move always under the guidance of Rupa and Sanatan. He also gave him some special instructions. Do this, and don't do that. He told him, don't go on Govardhan Hill. Don't walk on Govardhan. But Gadadhar Pandit was not allowed to go there. And Srila Guru Maharaj said, the queen, Gadadhar Pandit, incarnation of Radharani, the queen of Vrindavan, not allowed to go to Vrindavan. So he was a representation of Srimati Radharani herself, yet his peculiar position was such, the queen of Vrindavan, but now transferred to Navadip. His position had become just the opposite. He could not enter Vrindavan. He prayed for permission, but Mahaprabhu did not give it. He said, no, stay in and live here. And he had to do so. Sri Gadadhar Pandit represents the predominated moiety of the whole. Moiety means half. Predominating moiety, that's Krishna. Predominated moiety is Srimati Radharani. Gadadhar Pandit represents the predominated moiety of the whole. Why is that important? Because predominated moiety means predominated. And he's predominated by Mahaprabhu. The whole consists of predominating and predominated moieties, and he represents the predominated half. He is one half of the absolute truth. In the teachings of Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur, whose preaching was inspired by Sri Gadadhar Pandit, he worshipped, Bhaktivinod Thakur worshipped Gaur Gadadhar. He has those deities. In his teachings of Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur, whose preaching, that's like worship of Radha Krishna, but from the standpoint of a devotee of Mahaprabhu. In the teachings of Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur, whose preaching was inspired by Sri Gadadhar Pandit and Sriman Mahaprabhu, we find all the substance that is present in that plane of vibration. These two personalities, Sri Gadadhar Pandit and Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur, are our great gurus, our guides, and by offering our worship to them, we can sow the seed of our highest benefit. By the grace of that great Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupad, we have been able to understand this. So all this was edited with Srila Govinda Maharaj. All of this. And Bhaktivinod Thakur, though generally he has his own position, as understood from the consideration of the disciple, Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has seen Srimati Radharani in him, a relative vision in Bhaktivinod Thakur. He once said that Radharani represents the full play of Ashtanaika, the 8 characteristics of the heroine. We see that they are all perfectly represented in her. In other places we may find partial representations of them, but we find them fully manifest only in her. He said, I see my Gurudev as Guna Manjari, and in that Manjari form, he has some partial representation of Radharani. So that's also the Guru of Bhaktivinod, of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, I see my Guru in Guru Manjari. Guru Manjari is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. But he's saying, I see fully my Guru is all the qualities of Radharani present in Bhaktivinod Thakur. So he said, I see my Gurudev as Guna Manjari. And in that Manjari form, he has some partial representation of Radharani. But if I attempt to look more deeply, I find him identified fully with her. The 8 kinds of qualities displayed in the service of Krishna, Ashtanaika, are to be found there. If I look at him with my head a little erect, I can see that he is one with Radharani. Acharya Mam Vijaniyat. Know the Acharyas myself. If I give more attention to the Shastic rule and try to search out the meaning, I find that Radharani comes to take her place there in the position of my Gurudev. So he's seeing Bhaktivinod Thakur, his father, but as his Gurudev, as Srimati Radharani. In this way, he has seen in Bhaktivinod Thakur the fullest representation of the cult of Sri Gauranga. This realization is expressed in his poem, where he says that he saw Swarup Damodar Goswami in Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Sri Gadadhar Pandit in Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur. In one place he has written, Gadadhar Din Dori Pariyache Gora Hari, that he has accepted the day of the disappearance of Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur to be identified with that of Sri Gadadhar Pandit. In another place in his poem, so Bhaktivinod Thakur disappeared on the same day as Gadadhar Pandit. In one place he has written, this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who has written, Gadadhar Din Dori Pariyache Gorahari, that he has accepted the day of the disappearance of Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur to be identified with that of Sri Gadadhar Pandit. In another place, in his poem at the conclusion of his Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita commentary, he has written, here in Navadip Dham, the eternal pastimes are going on continuously. Only those who have got that deep vision can perceive it. Gadadhar Mitra Bar Shri Swarup Damodar Sarakala Gora Krishna Jaje Jagatera Deki Klesh Dariya Bikuka Vesh Aharaha Krishna Namabaje Shri Gora Ichaya Dui Mahima Ki Kabad Mui Aprakrita Parishada Kata Prakata Hoya Seve Krishna Gora Bina Deve Aprakasha Kata Yatatata. He says it is very difficult to perceive the sweet will of Sri Gauranga, but if we lift ourselves to that level, we see that Swarup Damodar Goswami and Sri Gadadhar Pandit are always engaged in their service here in Navadip. Sometimes it is suppressed, and sometimes it is appearing on the surface. In that plane, always going on by the sweet will of Sri Gauranga without any restriction. But now I find that those two have appeared on the surface as Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur. I have seen it with my own eye of divine service, but this is not to be advertised, not to be given publicly anywhere and everywhere. People will laugh at it. But this is my heartfelt conclusion. He has written this in his poem concluding Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Gadadhar Pandit was identified with Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur. That was a vision of our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He could see in them the same identity. He considered Siksha Guru Parampara to be the most substantial thing, eliminating the Sahajiavad, which gives much importance to the outer cover. Try to look within and see things more deeply. Try to understand the deeper vibrations of the outside environment and see within yourself also. Dive deep and you will find the plane of the finest vibration which will carry that news to you and you will see that truth. So that's the concluding words of the last chapter of Heart and Halo, but I thought it was, I always remember that because I thought it was appropriate because it's talking about this day, disappearance day of Bhaktivinod Thakur and of Gadadhar Pandit. And I could say, if I said something, I could say something, but I can't really say like that. So that's moving words of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but I feel that not just Srila Sridhar Maharaj, because I edited this whole book with Srila Govinda Maharaj. especially the last chapter. I mean, it was the last chapter that I really edited with Srila Govinda Maharaj. So I feel these words, concluding words, are also the concluding words of Guru Maharaj and also the concluding words of Govinda Maharaj, because I couldn't have got it right without Govinda Maharaj. So, okay, there it is. From here now we'll sing Hari Haraya, and then we'll go take prasadam. How's that sound? Is that okay? I wish we could get things right as to who cooks on what day, but we had some gap this week, right? Is anyone out there here? Anyway, you don't have to answer, but we had some gap this week, right? A little gap. You weren't here for that day. That was Thursday. What Thursday was it? Yeah, Thursday, lunch. The gap was at lunch. Maybe this could even be fixed. Anyway. All right. You can play the cartels. Okay, I'll just put this mic into this position. I forgot how to play the cartels. When you get old, you forget everything. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Mananamohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinod Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakti Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jao Ikte Vignana Shabishta Puran H.I. Gosai Char Mui Taranas Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Gadadhar Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame More Abhila H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Madhya-lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narotamadan Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Gaur Premanande Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Juki Jai. Jai Sri Gadadhar Pandit Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur Tirubha Mahotsav Ki Jai. The Divine Disappearance Day of Srila Gadadhar Pandit and Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Tilak Neri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmamacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Tatara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Tatara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Thakur Bhaktivinod ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Rupa Nuga Guru Bhargav ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhadda Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Prem Se Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad to our dear Srila Bhakti Kushamashra Maharaj ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki Jai. Shri Mayapur ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Parshada Sriman Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Shri Koladvip ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram ki Jai. Ganga Devi ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan. Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Munuju ki Jai. Shri Purushottama Dham ki Jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya. Shri Nishingadev ki Jai. Bhakta Prabhata Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Shri Govinda Mela ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Okay. Just push the